Good morning, MegaPodlings. It's Krazy Joe. I am back at the movie tavern and I am about to see Christopher Robin. Let's see how this goes. Let's talk about Christopher Robin. It's good. It's good. I gotta say, I was not very enamored with the idea of the movie, in part because I'm tired of the whole Disney, we're just gonna redo everything in live action model that they've got going now. In part because they got rid of Tron 3. Tron 3 was in active development, and it was actually very close to going into production, like weeks away, several years ago when they yanked the plug on it, supposedly because Tomorrowland did not perform well at the box office, though I don't see what the connection between Tomorrowland and Tron 3 is. Tron is a proven brand name that people know and love, whereas Tomorrowland was something new. I mean, yeah, it had the name of an attraction in Disneyland, but story-wise it was its own thing. It really has no connection to the Disneyland, Disney World, Tomorrowland. It was just kind of borrowing the name and doing its own thing. So there really was no connection between the two. So I don't see why the failure of one at the box office meant Tron had to die. But Disney decided, we're not going to do Tron 3. We're going to put all our eggs in the basket of making live action remakes of our animated classics. And that has led to The Jungle Book and Maleficent and Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, and Tim Burton's Dumbo is coming up, and Christopher Robin, which is the live action version of Winnie the Pooh. So this whole model has kind of I've been down on it just because it killed something that I desperately want, which is Tron 3. Some of these movies have been better than others. I kind of dug Maleficent. Cinderella was fine, but I kind of felt like, what's the point? I've seen the animated Cinderella. Did I really need this in live action? Felt the same way about Beauty and the Beast. Kind of liked The Jungle Book. Thought The Jungle Book was really good. Christopher Robin, as someone who's never really been a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, I wasn't that excited from the get-go. My wife was. My wife said she was every bit as excited about Christopher Robin as I was about Solo. Solo, A Star Wars Story, was my #1 most anticipated film of 2018. And I think Christopher Robin was her #1 most anticipated film of 2018. So what did we think? She loved it. She absolutely loved it. And I really liked it too. At first, I wasn't digging it. At first, I thought it was too much of a downer. I thought, wow, this is a depressing movie. I don't like this. This is a little too sad and a little too depressing. But it turns around. It turns around and it kind of gets away from that dour, depressing feel that is kind of permeates the early stages of the film, and it kind of becomes quite sweet, a sweet kind of happy story. And it's sort of another story like the Paddington movies, and I gotta admit I haven't seen Paddington 2 yet, but I've heard great things. But it's another story of a bear who teaches people how to behave, how to live their lives. Winnie the Pooh helps Christopher Robin see what's important in life, and that maybe spending all his time at work and his job at the expense of his family, maybe that's not the way to go. And that's, he learned something from a bear. And from what I understand, Paddington 2 is quite similar. I haven't seen Paddington 2 yet. I gotta see that. So yeah, I walked out of the theater happy. I walked out of the theater smiling. I really enjoyed it. My wife absolutely Loved it. What I will say I was very impressed with was the characters. I thought the animation for Pooh and Tigger and Piglet, they couldn't have looked better. They could not have looked better. They were, CGI creations, but they look like stuffed toys. They look like stuffed toys that came to life. And I learned something about Winnie the Pooh lore that I did not know going into this. I had always been of the impression that all of the Winnie the Pooh characters were Christopher Robin's toys, and that they all were toys. This is not true. This is what I learned. This is not the case. Apparently, Rabbit and Owl were always supposed to be a real rabbit and a real owl, and they were not supposed to be toys. I did not know that, because I walked out of the movie and I said to my wife, I said, Rabbit and Owl looked weird. They almost look like real animals. So this led me to go and do some research, do some Googling. And yeah, that was always the intent, that they were not supposed to be stuffed toys. Who knew? Well, maybe you knew. I didn't know. So I learned something. But yeah, very appealing character designs. I mean, they look like Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Piglet. Like, you're not going to mistake who they are, and you're not going to mistake them. You're going to look at them. You're going to know who they are. But they also look like stuffed toys come to life, but not in a creepy Chucky way. It works. It looks great. And retaining Jim Cummings as the voice of Pooh and Tigger, very smart decision. I wish they had kept Peter Cullen as the voice of Eeyore. They went with Raymond's brother, Brad Garrett. I mean, he's fine. He's fine, but I don't know why. It's like, why not just stick with Peter Cullen? They also went with celebrity voices for Owl and Piglet, Toby Jones and Peter Capaldi. And Peter Capaldi was also in the Paddington movies. So apparently Peter Capaldi, now that he's not the Doctor anymore on Doctor Who, his new career is doing voiceovers in movies about cartoon bears. Anything that keeps the checks coming, right? It's important. So that's my review. Christopher Robin, I like it. Go see it. I highly recommend it. And check out the Dog Days of Podcasting link down below. You can listen to just the MegaPodTastic Dog Days of Podcasting feed, a new podcast every single day in the month of August. Or you can go to dogdaysofpodcasting.com, again, link down below, and subscribe to the Mega feed, which is what I recommend. Hear what every single podcaster in the Dog Days of Podcasting Challenge, hear their output. And it's a very diverse group. We got people talking about gaming. We got people talking about video games. We got people talking about tabletop games. We got people talking about role-playing games. We got people talking about movies. We have a rock and roll show. One of our people talks about costuming. She's got a show called Thread Snippings. My friend Nutty is taking movies and pairing them with food, doing dinner and a movie. Here's what food I would pair with this movie. A lot of stuff. There's a show on exercise and running. It's in a diverse group, a lot of different topics, and I recommend hitting the subscribe to the Mega feed. That is what I would do if I were you, but I can't tell you what to do. You got to make that decision for yourself. Dog Days of Podcasting. Go see Christopher Robin. Keep on wearing those pajamas.